Hey guys, it's Charlene. I'm really excited to share an awesome Halloween card with you today. We're going to be using some products from the new release. We're using the Such a Fright stamps and coordinating dies, and then we are going to use the A2 Spooky Tree die, so cool, as well as the A2 Cauldron of Bats stencil. I've also got this Spooky Town Sequin Plus mix, as well as this new Paper Velvet, and I'm using the color Sea Urchin. I'm starting out with a piece of cardstock that's cut to 5.5 inches by 11 inches. And I'm scoring it at 4 1/8 inch. And then I'm folding it over, and then I'm going to flip it so that fold part is underneath. See, just like that. And then I'm going to score this side at 4 1/4, and I'm going to turn it back over and fold that other flap over that first flap. Next, I'm going to create a nighttime sky. I'm starting out with a piece of black cardstock, and I have some white pigment ink, and I'm just creating kind of random cloud shapes. Next, I'm going to come in with some hybrid ink in a dark blue, and I'm going to dab that here and there over and kind of blend it into the white clouds. Once I have that surrounding all of the white clouds, I can come in with a dark purple. The dark blue, dark purple, and white all combined together are going to create a really nice nighttime sky. Having the white pigment ink gives you the illusion of wispy white clouds as you look out into the night. I love how these three colors combined together can create such a beautiful illusion of a nighttime sky. Once I'm done, I'm sprinkling some water mixed with pearl powder, and I'm going to let that dry and react with the ink. That's going to make it look like there are stars in the sky. I did let this dry off camera because now I'm going to do some stenciling on top of it with the A2 Cauldron of Bats stencil and that beautiful new Paper Velvet in Sea Urchin. So I put my stencil down and I taped it around the edges, and now I'm using my spatula to scoop out that awesome Paper Velvet. It's really cool. It has a matte-like finish, but it also is kind of soft and velvety looking. So if you had this in white, it would be perfect for snow or something like that. Definitely a cool product. So once I get that down on the stencil, I'm just scraping up any excess and putting it right back into my jar. There's not a lot of waste, which is awesome. And once I'm done, I can peel up my stencil. I do want to go ahead and wash that right away just so it doesn't have a chance to dry. And also it's a good idea always to put your lid back on and securely tighten it before you move on to your next project. Now we get to see the reveal. So cool. I love how that turned out. Now I've set that aside to dry, and I'm working on the next part of the card. I have that A2 sized card panel that we put together in the very first part that has the two flaps that fold over. But I'm only going to stencil on the right hand flap, the one that overlaps the one that is full length of the card. So you can see I have a piece of paper towel just underneath my stencil there, so that way I don't get any of the Paper Velvet onto the left-hand side of the card. I'm taking the stencil off, and this will make more sense now. You can see I've got the Paper Velvet just on that right-hand flap. While that's drying, I can cut out the A2 Spooky Tree die from some black cardstock. Now I can go back to my card base and trim that area where I stenciled. I'm cutting it so that right hand flap there measures 2 1/8 inch. That's going to make it so that when it closes, it goes directly across half of my card because the width of the card is 4 1/4 inch. Now the Paper Velvet does dry pretty fast, but you do want to wait until it's fully dry before you trim your cardstock. Now the reason I am having it go across half of the card on that front flap is because here I'm going to glue down with some liquid adhesive that nighttime sky that we did, and I'm gluing that on the left hand flap. So you'll see when the right hand flap is closed over that left hand flap, it's seamless. The bats are going to match up on each side. Now I've got my A2 tree die. I've got some liquid adhesive on the back there, and I'm going to glue that to that right hand flap. So you just want to make sure that you don't go too far with your glue because you don't want it to get stuck to that second flap. So I only put the glue where I knew it was going to be on the right hand side of the card. So now we've got this really cool trifold card, but it's kind of half white, half night. It's really cool. Next, I'm stamping the Such a Fright pumpkins, and I'm doing them in orange. It's kind of a medium tone orange. And now I'm taking the edge of a darker orange ink pad, and I'm creating stripes along the pumpkins. I'm doing that by just holding my ink pad at a slight angle and tapping it onto the stamp. Now I can stamp back down on top of the orange, and you'll see there are darker orange stripes in areas of the pumpkin. I did off camera cut out another A2 spooky tree die from white cardstock, and I'm using some yellow alcohol marker to color in the inside parts of those little spooky bat houses. I think they're bat houses anyway. I imagine that's where the bats live in the tree. And so I'm gluing those inside of the spooky tree die cut that is on top of my card. And now I can go ahead and layer up my pumpkins on the card. You could do this however you would like. I wanted to have a little scene on the left hand flap once you opened the right hand side of the card. So I did it so that one of the smaller pumpkins is overlapped by one of the larger pumpkins. So you can see I've taken the medium pumpkin here and I'm putting it right on the edge of the A2 tree die. And then I'm taking the largest of the pumpkins and I'm putting it on the left hand side of that left flap. That leaves me with the smallest pumpkin, and I'm going to put that underneath that medium-sized pumpkin. So that way it's hidden when it's closed, but when you open it, you still get to see it. Now I've taken the set of 2 pumpkins and I put them on some adhesive foam, and I'm going to pop those up on top of that pumpkin on the right-hand side flap. So that probably makes more sense by watching this, but it's kind of fun. So you see 4 pumpkins when it's all closed, but when you open it up, you see those 2 pumpkins on the inside. Next, I've got some embossing ink here, and I'm stamping down the Cool Sentiment from the Such a Fright stamp set, and I'm heat embossing it with some silver embossing powder. You could use whatever color you would like, but since there was so much black on this card already, I wanted my sentiment to stand out a little bit, so I used silver embossing powder. I cut the sentiment out using the coordinating die, and then I've popped it up with some adhesive foam, and I'm just placing it on the right hand side of the card. I don't want to cover up my little bat house there, so I'm doing it sort of in between the bat house and the pumpkin. Now all that I have left to do is to add some fun bling. So I'm using these really cool green sequins from the Spooky Town Sequin Plus mix. And this mix has all kinds of cool Halloween themed items in it. You've got your ghosts, your witch's hat, your black cats, as well as orange and green sequins. So this is going to be perfect for lots of different Halloween cards. I'm using the green sequins because orange, green, and purple work really well for Halloween cards. All right, guys, here's my finished card. I'm so happy with how this turned out. Be sure to check out the new release over on the Picket Fence website, and also check out our Facebook group as well as Instagram. Be sure to like and subscribe, as well as hit that notification bell so you can see more videos in the future. I'll be back again soon with another video.